we're going to talk to Erin, and what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna introduce her, and then we're gonna talk about her story, and then I'm gonna ask her questions, and she's gonna answer those. And so this is Erin Loftis, and how I know her is she married my cousin Justin, which is Sharon's son. So back in the day, Justin was looking for this wonderful person to marry, and luckily he fell in love with Erin. And as we drove by Russell Stover's, the old Russell Stover's, she said that was their first date, was watching fireworks. So I thought that was cool that we were like close to there, because she's been a blessing in our family's lives. And so, whenever I met her, it's like we had like a instant connection. She become one of my good friends, best friends. They ended up moving to Knoxville for a job and things like that, and for nursing school. And so we don't get to see each other, but we've always just stayed really close through, we do family events and texts and all that stuff. So I've always just felt the world of her. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about so if you guys remember back in 2021, I'm at work, and I was gonna tell you my part of it and then we'll get into it. But I was at work, and I just got to work, and Sharon calls me. And she probably don't even remember this, but she's like, Erin, I need you to pray. And I was like, okay. It was like it was literally 7 o'clock in the morning. And she's just bawling. And she's like, Erin has had a stroke, and I don't know if she's gonna make it. And I really just need you, get on the phone, get everybody you can, please just pray. We can't lose her. Now, in the meantime, Erin and Justin, you guys got married in what, 2017. So tell them a little bit about it, your story with Justin.
So we met in high school, but we weren't high school sweethearts. We had an English class together, and he had a crush on me. And I thought he was adorable and cute, and I had a crush on him, but I was always dating somebody else. Anyway, fast forward to 2012, so like 5 years later, we just happenstanced upon each other on Facebook. So he slid into my DMs, which is very not eloquent, but that's basically, and then we got together on our first date, and it goes back and forth of him asking me or me asking him. But anyway, we ended up going to see the fireworks on the 4th of July over here at Russell Stover's, like Karen was saying, and we just hit it off. We talked, and I just felt like I was with a good friend. And I really wanted him to kiss me during it, and he didn't. He tickled me. I was like, I don't know if he likes me or not. But he tickled me, and then he texted me later that night, and he asked when he could see me again. And then from the moment that we hung out, which was like 2 days later, we were inseparable. And he's my best friend, and he's everything.
So fast forward,
we get married, and I lose 80 plus pounds because I'm like, I gotta get healthy to carry a baby. I want to have a baby. So we were hiking and biking and paddle boarding and doing all the things. And
you went to school.
We moved to Knoxville. Sorry, yes, thank you. So we were living in Cookeville, and then I was an LPN then, and I wanted to go back for my RN. So I applied to Tennessee Tech, but they would give me nothing for my LPN, and I was like, seriously? I had 5 years of experience, so I ended up applying to the bridge program, and I still remember telling you in the Hobby Lobby parking lot that we were going to move to Knoxville. I thought I broke your heart. I think I did. But I was just taking your baby boy away. But anyway, so we moved to Knoxville for me to do the LPN to RN bridge program, and then that led to the RN, that was a RN Associates, and then that led to RN Associates to BSN, and that's where I am now. But Justin has stuck with me through it all. And so then in 2016, he surprised me, and I don't know how, because I am a top A attention to detail person, but he seriously, planner, babbler, clearly. So he surprised me and asked me to marry him, and his brother Erin was able to take a photo. And then a year later, in 2017, we planned this big elaborate wedding, and it was beautiful, it was perfect. We got married, and then I was like, okay, it's time to start thinking about having babies. So, this was later on. But I was like, okay, in order to do that, I need to lose weight. I was about the size I am now, but, like health-wise, I didn't want to be putting all this extra weight carrying a baby. So I lost the weight and we had the baby, and so they kept telling me my blood pressure was too high, and Justin was like, well, what is too high? Because no one could give him like a set number. And they were like, well, if it gets above this number, he's like, okay, but she's still working full time and nobody can, like, she can't. So finally they were just like, okay, we need to schedule an induction. Like, we need to take them, not like, I had to have a C-section, they just wanted to induce me. So I picked the date, which was August 17th, because my birthday is October 17th, and that was one of the options, and I'm just a number person, and I thought that would be really sweet. And so we went in at midnight because of insurance, and I had a traumatic birth, not a traumatic, it was very fast. Like, the nurses were like, oh my goodness, because they started the medicine that puts you into labor, and like a lot faster than I should have. Like, I had the baby. Like he said, they were bringing down the lights and people were running in to basically catch the baby. But it was great. And then we went home with Olivia, and she was fantastic. I was breastfeeding her, and she was great. She still is my everything, or our everything. Sorry, babbling now.
So now, yeah.
And
so
then,
then-
so I go to bed so I don't remember any of this. So just so y'all know, like, this has all been told to me by Justin. But I apparently went to bed on the 20th. So my stroke was October 21st. I went to bed on the 20th complaining of the worst headache I'd ever had. And earlier on in that day, I'd been working in the yard, like, with the rocks and stuff, with the landscaping. I don't remember any of this. But I was trying to lose weight. So I was flipping my head up and down, doing squats, because my hair used to be down in the middle of my back. And I was trying to get back in shape. That's what my mom told me. Anyway, so on the 20th, I went to bed complaining of the worst headache I ever had. And Justin he didn't say it out loud, but he was like, that's strange, because like I was not one to ever complain. Now if my pinky hurts, y'all could hear that. Because I'm nervous. But so I went to bed complaining of the worst headache, and then I woke up, because I had an alarm set to breastfeed her. You have to do that every 2 hours, I think, I can't remember. And I woke up to breastfeed her, and I told Justin, I looked at him and was like, my head is still killing me. I think I'm gonna be sick. And so I went to the bathroom. I think I got sick. All these notes. So
you threw up.
yes, he went and got me some Tylenol, and then I threw up trying to take it. And then I went to her nursery to breast, so she was sleeping in the bedside bassinet, because I was trying to figure out a new way of doing this so I didn't wake up Justin, because he was working full time, like, to get her used to going in the nursery to breastfeed. So I took her across the hall. It's not like it's like from here to that table, to breastfeed her. And Justin helped me, and he said that by the time he handed her to me and he turned around to go back to the room, I said, I think I'm gonna be sick again. And I said it in a way that like alerted him. So he came and got Olivia, and about that time, I just sat down in the floor and I said, if I'm having a stroke, my last known normal was 4:30 yesterday. And then I fell back and I started having a seizure. And then he went downstairs to get my mom, who was staying there, to help take care of Olivia, because this was COVID time. And she didn't want her to have to go to a daycare, and we didn't want her to have to go to a daycare. And by the time they came back up, I was still having the seizure. So they called 911, and this is where it gets. So because I had used to work at UT Hospital, I had Olivia there, they asked Justin and my mom, they're like, where do you want her to go? And they could have taken me to the closest hospital, which would have been to Nova North, and nothing against them, but they weren't the level 1 trauma center like UT Hospital is. And they both said UT. And so they took me to UT, and they were there within 30 minutes. Me starting this stroke, apparently I got, like, all this happened so quickly. And that's just where I have to praise God, because I know someone that had the same type of stroke, and because of where she lived, she's a quadriplegic, and I just feel so much guilt. Anyway, so we get to UT, and Justin said they were just like, he followed behind the ambulance, of course. And Justin said that by the time he got in there, they stopped him, and they were like, have you ever seen anybody intubated? And he was just like, what? And they kind of talked him through that. So by the time he walked back and saw me, apparently I had the tube down my throat to help me breathe. And I just cannot imagine how traumatic that is.
So then, you know,
I'm completely going off road.
no, you're good. You're following it. I don't know how, but you literally have went step by step. But so basically, she's having her brain. They're having emergency brain surgery.
So they figured out, I don't know how, but they were like, okay, her brain is bleeding. They must have done some scans in the ER, and they determined that I had a brain bleed. Well, what it was I had an artery and a vein growing together in my brain from birth. Like this happens when you're in utero. So like when I was in my mommy's tummy, I had an artery and a vein in my brain growing together. And then with my gestational hypertension that they had to induce me from, that's what caused it to burst. But I'm thankful it did, because had it waited any longer, I would have been gone back to work, where I took care of a
driving.
Or yeah, like my patient at the time was a little girl who couldn't have done anything for me. I would have just laid there and died. But that's why my mom was there. It's just, I see God through this whole thing. Like, had it not happened just right, I wouldn't be here talking to you today.
So when all this happened, fluid buildup, it caused you to swell.
Yes, apparently I was like grotesque. The swelling was so bad, Justin. So just, y'all, I'm not a public speaker at all, if you can't tell. But like my sweet pastor's wife, who is also discipling me, she happened to come over to the house last night and do like a ChatGPT interview thing, where she basically was just asking like, what happened and when did this happen and what did you do then? And my husband, bless his heart, who hasn't really been able to like tell me directly what all he's went through, because I do have a lot of burden guilt. He was able to like talk me through it and talk to Audrey, and like that just broke my heart, but also made me realize how grateful I am to the man that I married. But yeah, sorry, I'm going on.
No, so then so basically they're like, so in the beginning, and what kind of started off, they didn't know if she was gonna
Yeah, they didn't know. They told Justin, they were like, if she lives the next 48 hours, she's going to be paralyzed on one side of her body. If she survives. And everybody was like, if this and if that, because the brain, they don't know anything about it. I mean, they know some, but like that's what one of the surgeons finally told him. He was like, look, this is all new. Like, this is just kind of like, it might be this, like she might be paralyzed on this side of her body or that side, or she might have this deficit or that. But like every time that I would do something good, just like, oh, that's good, right? And they'd be like, yes, but blah, blah, blah. Because they have to. Medically, I mean, y'all know, anybody that's in the medical field, you gotta do that. Because you don't want to instill hope that's not, you don't want to rip the rug out from somebody's feet.
Yeah, they have to be kind of real.
Yes.
And so in the meantime, the family's coming down. Sharon and Jeff are pretty much moving down there because you've got this 2-month-old baby.
Yes.
That is, I mean, it's just.
Had it not been for Sharon and Jeff, Nana, Papa, and my mom, Mimi, and G-Daddy, I don't know how Justin would have done this by himself, because he was essentially a single dad, working full time, and then also being turned to like, what do you want to do? And he was put on the spot. And I don't know how he did that.
So you've got that, then we've got, so then we start the prayer, the power of prayer. And we're gonna talk about that in just a minute.
Okay.
So basically, they're taking care of the baby. Justin is doing both. He's trying to be there for Olivia and then working, because your bills don't stop.
Yeah.
You know, you're sick, she's in the hospital and there's still mortgage payments, there's still all these different things. So Justin's got all this and just trying to keep everything together. Well, Erin is out of it for what, 5 weeks?
I was in a medically induced coma because of my swelling in my brain. Apparently the stress on your body will cause your swelling to get worse. And I don't know how long I was in the medically induced coma, but I know for sure I didn't remember anything for 5 weeks, I think is what Justin said. Even though I have pictures of me sitting up, smiling with my sister, I don't remember any of that. And I was talking to them, like my mom said that the first time I said mom, she like levitated off the floor. She jumped so high because it was the first time I spoke.
And I think like one thing that stood out to me is one doctor came in and told Justin they need to prepare for a new normal. Later they told Erin, that you were gonna die and he needed to go home and get your affairs in order and that she would not make it through the night. So this is all the different things that's going on. So every week she's making progress. So 2 weeks later is when they finally come to Justin, and you may know more than I'm just going by
And
notes.
said that I was stable.
She's stable.
And that didn't mean that I was
That doesn't mean she's walking or talking.
It just meant that I was not gonna die.
You weren't gonna die. So they got that in 2 weeks. So then, basically, you end up they got you to the point that you were gonna go to a specialty hospital.
So they sent me
in
to
Atlanta.
Select Specialty, which is like a nursing home place that's more specialized in Select Specialty. Since I did have the tracheostomy, they couldn't just send me to like NHC because they had to have more. I needed to be more in a hospitalized setting while they were waiting on finding a placement for me. And they kept applying to different places to send me long term. And one of those places was Atlanta Shepherd Center, which is like world renowned, if not, I mean, it's definitely nationally like very famous. I don't know another way of putting it. Like
It's one of the top rehab
Yes.
centers in the country.
Yes, and so and people will fly there. It just happened to be 4 hours away from Knoxville, Tennessee. Just 4 hours. I say that very lightly because Justin had to drive that multiple times.
They're known for their brain and spinal injuries.
Yes. So I got accepted there, and Justin said it was great because he was like, oh, thank goodness something is going to happen. But then it was a whirlwind because our credit card literally got stolen with him booking the ambulance to take me to that place. Somebody stole his information, so he's dealing with that, and he's dealing with the different doctors from the different places calling him to figure out what medicine I'm on and blah, 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 and all this and that. So, and I know nothing because I'm like literally not here. So he figured all that out and then got me to Atlanta, and I got there the day before Thanksgiving, so like there was not hardly much staff. But the first thing that I remember is I woke up, I don't know what the date was, and I asked Justin, and he's like, I don't know, there was so much going on. And I looked at him and I said, where's Olivia? And that was the moment he was like, oh, okay, there's my wife. Because like, he didn't know.
And they would bring Olivia's clothes in. I did
and
read
lay it
that.
on me.
So she knew the smell of, and vice versa.
Mhm.
They would take clothes to Olivia and let her, and
So she wouldn't lose her
Yeah.
mom.
So that was going on, and then you did finally get reunited with Olivia.
Oh, well, yeah, after like, it felt like months.
Yeah.
There was probably just a few weeks that I was at Shepherd Center. But I had to relearn how to talk, how to walk, how to eat, how to concentrate. Like, I had to relearn how to eat. Like, literally somebody had to sit next to me, Erin, take a bite. Do I look like somebody that needs to be told to take a bite? I mean, seriously. Erin, you're looking at somebody, take a bite. And apparently I would just sit there and I would just stare off. And so, yeah. And then I got strapped into this machine that helped simulate walking. And I do remember that being extremely uncomfortable because they would pad you down and then put these metal contraptions on your legs and then stand you up. And then you're just like, you're walking, but you have this, it was incredible. I'm not trying to talk bad about that place because they are amazing. Mm-hmm. But yes, it felt like months because of the things I had to relearn how to do. But then it was finally time to go home, and because it was like during all this, COVID was rampant, and so like Justin, like at the time, he was able to stay out on site. It was literally walked across like the parking lot, which had a tunnel to an apartment, and he was working full time. But he would also go home ever so often to see Olivia because he has a 2-month-old baby. So it's not like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. He still had a 2-month-old daughter at home, and I cannot imagine, but they finally were like, hey, you cannot leave this hospital, this room, because of COVID. You can't even leave your wife's hospital room. So he ended up having to sleep on a chair that folded out to a bed. But y'all, if anybody's ever slept in a hospital bed, and it was a shared room, so I had a curtain divider.
Oh, gosh.
So it was me and my roommate.
So how long did he have to do that?
Oh gosh, it felt like 5 years. Probably 3 weeks, maybe. I don't know how long I was there, honestly. Maybe a week. But like my roommate, her mom snored, and then I had one that coughed. Nothing against that, but like there's a curtain. And here I am, like I can't do anything, and Justin's over here in his bed, uncomfortable, and I just feel awful.
So
And
then
then-
they finally tell you get to go home.
Yes, sorry, I keep
No, you're
dragging it
good.
out. So then I finally get to go home, and I had to relearn how to. I was still in a wheelchair, still had a helmet on my head. Nan's going, helmet.
Okay, so yeah, let me just tell you about Nana over here. Justin's mom, Sharon, Nana, did physical therapy at home using soup cans. No one allowed Erin to sit in self-pity. They made her move, and they made her walk.
Because I wanted to sit in self-pity. I literally would tell people, like, I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to. Especially my mom and my dad. They would be like, let's go to the park and take Olivia for a walk. No, I'd just rather stay here and read or watch a movie or something. Because I was so depressed. I mean, you took an active, healthy woman and you threw her into the pits and then expect her to not be depressed. Exactly. And I was like in the pits of hell, basically. And
So the house was arranged in a loop, so Erin could walk continuously inside using soup cans for strength. So they were like, nope, you're getting up, and you're walking, and the walking to the end of the driveway was a huge
yes,
milestone.
and I think it was Nana that actually took a picture of me and Justin, and I was smiling so proud. I walked to the end of the driveway, which is like from here to the door, and I was like,
That's a lot. Yes.
and eventually I got to the point where I could walk my neighborhood. And so at the top of my neighborhood, so my neighborhood is a big circle. At the top of the neighborhood was this woman named Melanie. And so by the time I would get to her house, I would have been like huffing and like puffing, I'm dying. But she would always be working out in her garden, and she would just like talk to me about coming to Zion Baptist Church, and just really sweet and very welcoming. And I was always like, yeah, I can't drive yet. I'm not going to be able to do that, but okay. But eventually it got to working on my heart, and I was like, okay, I need to actually take Olivia, who had never rode in the car with me by myself. Like I hadn't drove my own daughter because I had been breastfeeding her first 2 months of her life. Justin, my husband, would always drive us everywhere. And so I put Olivia in the back of my car, and Melanie said, my son-in-law is the preacher at Zion Baptist Church just 10 minutes down the road. If you will just take the time to come down there, I will come out and get her in and bring her in and introduce you to everybody. And I was just like, ah. So she did, and that is honestly like the turning point. That church means so much to me. They've welcomed me into their family. Like church family is real, y'all. I mean, I know you know because you're here, but like prayer the power of prayer is incredible. And thank you for anybody that did pray for me through Karen. But like, it is like insanely incredible.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to my questions.
Okay.
So we talked about her story and we know it's gonna end well because she's sitting here talking. And so we're excited about that. But like, okay, so can you talk about your faith, about so we're getting to the point where somebody's invited you to church, you went, so tell us about your faith before the stroke. And
So I was baptized when I was 10, and I'm sure I knew what I was doing, but I was 10. And then I had a long 20 plus years of living kind of off the rocks, but still like knew that God was real and that Jesus was the Son of God, but I just wasn't like a follower, and now I am. But so I don't know how to answer that question.
so let's just talk about, how was your life after the stroke? Your faith.
So right after, not great, because I was so depressed. But by the time I got into Zion and I really got to thinking about like, oh my gosh, this church is incredible, I want to become a member. And I will never forget, I asked Audrey, which is the preacher's wife, I was like, hey, or maybe it was Melanie, I don't remember, which is the preacher's mother-in-law, my neighbor. I was like, how do I become a member of this church? Because it's just so incredible. And they're like, well, you just got to meet with Alex, which is our pastor, and talk to him. And he'll just ask you a couple questions. Like, oh, okay. So I go on a Wednesday night, which I've never been on a Wednesday night. And he asked me to share my testimony. And I thought he meant like what I'm doing right now, which minus the face. I was like, well, God saved my life. And I'm here. And he was like, no, I mean, like, when did you come to the saving knowledge that Jesus Christ died for you on the cross? I was like, oh, well, I was baptized when I was 10. Does that count? He was like, do you think you knew what you were doing? I was like, no, I don't. So he was like, well, why don't we get you baptized? And so, maybe a month, I was ready to do it right then, but they got to do the filling of the pool and all the things. So we scheduled the date, and my whole family and all my friends came, and sweet Nana and Papa bought me my necklace that I have on right now. Anyway, I got baptized, and from that moment, I was just like, okay, my life is yours. And that was one thing I told Pastor Alex. I was like, I feel uncomfortable saying this, but if you don't care to tell everybody that, kind of a little synopsis of my story, but he saved my life, so I dedicate the rest of my life to him. And that's what he said, and then I got baptized, and my life has been so much better since.
Yeah, well, it's just, I could just stop right there, but I'm not going to. That's some more. So for all of us that struggle with doubt, fear, and feeling far from God, do you have anything that you can share for that, to help us with that?
Just don't give up hope. You got to let go of your control and let God do his thing. Like, that is my big, because I am a people pleaser, type A personality, if you can't tell, planner. You got to let go and let God. And one thing that I have had to tell myself is, like, where God is, there can be no darkness. So all the evil thoughts, they are not welcome here. God is within me, so you are not able to, just leave.
Love that. So we talked about this a little bit on the way up here, but can you share a moment when you knew that God was real to you that sticks out? I mean, there's all kinds that you talked about, but is there anything that you're just like?
Yeah, on December 21st of this year, actually, we had our candlelight service at church, and I rededicated my life to Jesus, because like I knew Jesus and I got baptized, but I was kind of not doing anything wrong, but I just wasn't living the way that I feel like he wanted me to live. Mm-hmm. And then on the 21st, I don't know what it was about that candlelight service, the music, the preaching, everything, that I had Olivia sitting right next to me, and she dancing out the aisle, and I was just so embarrassed, but just watching her be happy and dancing, I was just like, this is what it's all about. And rededicated my life to Him, and just, I don't know, everything has been so, so that happened December 21st, and I don't have my watch on. Today is January 12th, right? So in 20 days, like, I'm sitting in front of you all sharing my testimony. Like, God is so good. Like, I don't know how to better put that.
So we talked about the power of prayer. How did the power of prayer make a difference in your situation?
I'm here. I'm alive. I'm walking. I can move my legs. So thank you for praying for me. But yeah, for anybody I know people have worse problems than mine, like death and the loss of like children or spouses, and I feel guilty sitting up here like, look at me, but I'm wanting you to see, like, look at what God did. This is not look what I can do, because I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for God. But what was the question?
The power of prayer.
Sorry. Power of prayer is powerful. I don't know. Like, He hears us, and all we have to do is just call out His name, even if it's to ourselves.
So, what has God taught you through this whole experience?
To put yourself on the truth train, because I wanted to go on the emotional train, and that just, when I was depressed, when I was happy or things were going right, then I would be in a good mood. It doesn't matter what situation you're on. If you're following the emotion train, then you're always going to be either high or low or whatever. Well, now that I'm following the truth train, which just means like following His word, which is the truth, like, I will be with you, I will go before you, I will do all these things. I'm following that now, and so it's just given me so much peace and hope and just confidence in things that I never thought I would be able to do. Like the fact that I'm able to talk to 20-something people right now without, and I probably am stammering over my words. Yeah, 10 to 15 people.
Oh yeah.
23. It's just incredible, and like I don't know, God is so good.
And it's just crazy too, because I was talking to her, I was like, you should share your story sometime. And then she like literally texts me out of the blue, and she's like, hey, and I had even said, I'd love to talk for you to talk to her ladies group. And she's like, well, actually, I think I would like to do that. And I was like, and she's like, when would be a good time? And I was like, well, we're having a meeting in January, but you could always do. She goes, no, that's perfect. And I'm like, okay, January 12th.
I'm on fire for the Lord.
And she's like, I need to do it
so
while I
I'm
do
doing
it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
because
yes.
I'm in between jobs right now. I'm an RN, but I'm trying to find the right spot for me. So
yeah. So what? How do you want God to use your story to help others?
just make me a vessel. I don't care what He does. I'm good with. If it's to be a nurse, that's great. I hope it is, because I went through school and all the things. But if it's not that, I'm good with doing. I'll paint a picture. I'll do something. Just make me a vessel, Lord. Like, that's all I want. Just to share the hope, spread the gospel, just bring other people to Christ.
And last question, what are you most grateful to God for today?
My stroke. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but like, had I not had my stroke, I don't know where I would. I know the path I was on would have ended up great, but I feel like where I am now, the closeness that I am to God and my church family and my family, like my husband and my child, I just don't know that we would be as close. So I'm most thankful for my stroke, which is so strange to say out loud. And I feel guilty saying that, because the people that I love had to sacrifice so much because of it. But I am thankful for my stroke.
Well, you have inspired all of us.
Thank you.
And I just appreciate you so
Well,
much.
thank you so much.